How beautiful is this? England in early summer at its best.
Today's video is an introduction to the Lake District, a beautiful part of northwest England. And it's a day before a big hit out with Lee Baxter taking on Rhinos Pass and Hardknot Pass amongst others. And that's a separate video which you'll see later on this week, and it has filming and an edit that does justice to what was an exceptional day in jaw-droppingly beautiful landscape. So today was my first day in the lakes and I wanted to acclimatise, plus also open up my legs and lungs with an iconic climb. And given the name of my recent sportive, where better to start than with a climb called The Struggle. The official start to the segment for 100 Greatest Climbs The Struggle actually starts from a different turning point about 100 metres further along the road in the town of Ambleside. But no matter, my overall climb starting from the wrong turning was virtually identical, coming in at 4.6 kilometres, 394 metres of elevation, average gradient 8.4%. The segment I starred on my Wahoo Bolt computer was not at all confusingly called The Struggle Official Pass, but it excluded a little bit of the 100 Greatest Climb segment from a roundabout at the bottom of the climb in Ambleside town centre. Anyway, I'm digressing of course with tales of failure to plan means planning to fail. As I've learned in the north of England, an average gradient means nothing, nada, literally diddly squat. And as you can see here, we're straight into the super steep stuff. I'd also contrived to double down on my failure to select the correct segment by not actually looking at the climb profile, which would have informed me that at 4.6 kilometres it was a lot longer than I'd been budgeting for. Very long for a UK climb, and also viciously steep for large chunks of it, albeit I had actually expected a steep ramp or two, but not quite like this. So all said, I probably invested a little bit too enthusiastically in terms of the power in the first kilometre, which felt very much like the terrain encountered in the Yorkshire Dales, i.e. super difficult but manageable. I wasn't really looking at the power meter, just trying to stay upright and maintain a straight vector, teetering just the right side of my perceived limit. Perceived limit, provided of course it didn't continue this way for much more than 6 or 7 minutes, that is. Very early on in the climb, there's a kilometre averaging 13.6%, and I dispensed with this in 5 minutes 28 seconds at 332 watts, which is 5.2 watts a kilogram. And there's not much respite during this kilometre, and when that respite does come along, it's flavoured 9 to 10%, enabling just a tiny bit of ability to back off the power. But as you can see, the hard stuff is by no means over after this early kilometre, because that super steep 13.6% segment is included within a 2.8 kilometre segment averaging 9.8%, and you're pretty gassed after the opening 1,000 metres at VO2 max. So I pressed on in a similar fashion, piloting the bike out of the saddle on the steeper inclines at VO2 max in order to hone in on each mini brow and then drink in the recovery at threshold on each shallower mini plateau. I find this style of climbing really challenging but also very engaging, and with fresh legs and a bit of patience, slow speeds are of course inevitable. It all felt pretty manageable. I'd also add that for a London lad seeking to acclimatise the legs and the mindset, it's pretty handy to have a tough challenge so close to the town of Ambleside and also civilization in order to gain experience with fresh legs and close to home in the event of difficulty. It took 12 minutes 55 seconds to complete this 2.8 kilometre segment, averaging 300 watts, albeit normalised power was 315. And at this point, there was a glittering and valuable reward, courtesy of low inclines and even a bit of descent, affording time to pamper and recover, or for the more adventurous, the opportunity to press on, maximise momentum and shave seconds off your PB time. Now, my spidey sense told me to take advantage of the shallower gradients and recover, and that was quickly reaffirmed as the correct decision as the final steep kilometre loomed menacingly closer, brandishing both intimidating ramps but also a little white building at the very top of the pass that I soon learned was called the Kirkstone Pass Inn. And for our non-UK viewers, that's a quaint English pub or a bar selling fine beer, which we call ale or stout or lager, or even a dry white wine for the southerners. So I built up some momentum on the little trough here and then dropped into an easier gear, but not the easiest, in order to provide a little bit of room for slippage. And then I braced for impact. You can see the nature of the endeavour here. Super steep and out the saddle for most, but with some high single-digit flavoured recovery. And again I should say that having probably gone a bit too hard in the earlier steep ramps, I was feeling, shall we say, a little less perky than would otherwise be optimal at this point in the climb. So I soon found myself once again silently chanting the mantra from the Yorkshire Dales: do not stop pedalling, do not stop pedalling, whatever you do not stop pedalling. And also welcoming in the slow and steady progress to the sanctuary of the little white drinking establishment on the pass. I derived a genuine and deep feeling of accomplishment having got this climb under the belt, also tinged with mild concern as to what was to come on Hard Knot Pass the next day with Lee Baxter. At this stage, I was still blissfully ignorant of the challenge that was to be posed by Rhino's Pass in order to get there, plus a plethora of bonus climbs, as you'll see later on in the week. If you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, I'd be very grateful if you would. So my overall time for the Struggle official pass segment was 16 minutes 53 seconds. But for the entire 4.6 kilometre climb from the wrong side of the Ambleside town centre, it was 19 minutes 23 seconds, averaging 288 watts or 4.5 watts a kilogram and 303 watts normalised power.
Well, as you can see, the Struggle is a seriously difficult climb. It's like two of those super steep climbs in the Yorkshire Dales coalesced into one horrific agglomeration, but very rewarding to get it done. But more importantly, this is Grasmere. And I used to come on holiday here as a kid with my mum, my sister and my granny and Uncle Robert. God bless their souls. Many happy memories boating on this lake. And while my Uncle Robert certainly didn't believe in the afterlife, he did believe that the actions you have and the interactions you have with people during your life on Earth impacts those people that remain after you're gone and how they treat other people. Definitely I think that's true. Really thinking very fondly of all my grandparents, but especially my granny and Uncle Robert right now, and all the memories we have on holiday here in the Lake District. Isn't it beautiful? Used to boat out and row out to those little islands. So many memories of this place. I think up there may be the place where we used to stay. I'm just going to have a look. I think it might be over there. It was called Glenthorne. Yeah, Glenthorne. There we go. It was a Quaker hotel. Yes. They have all of these buildings as well. There we go. Quaker guest house. It still is amazing. There we go. My mum will enjoy this. Table tennis in there. And that one there. It's more than 30 years since I was last here. And it feels a lot smaller, but still very familiar, very reassuring. Thinking of you, Granny and Uncle Robert. Well, making mental note, when plotting route on Strava and it says 7% gravel, well, potentially Strava may be, I think you'll agree, prone to a little bit of understatement there. I don't think the Canalgo and I are going to make it over that. Therefore, I'm going to have to retrace my steps and find my way back. And as you know, I'm not blessed with the most, well, sensational, pigeon-like navigational skills. So I'm sure about an hour away from home, but only about 3 kilometers. There we go. Not exactly Strada Bianchi, but it'll do. Home sweet home. What's this town called, Jane? This is Hawkshead, very close to where we're staying. More of the Beatrix Potter theme. She was from around here. Beautiful. We're tea room kind of people. Rhubarb, the fruit of princes and with sparkles. Well, a classic day deserves a classic cake. Okay, you got city folk negotiating country terrain, and we have met a problem.
No, we haven't. Sure,
Jane has white trainers. No, there has to be a better way around this. We need to forward. I think if you just do a big jump here.
Yeah, you reckon?
Yeah, look. Yeah, it's just a step, look. The white trainers are going to be fine. There we go, go on. There we go. Success. Yeah, I prefer to cycling. We perpetually seem to be in people's back gardens or fields, but this is definitely a footpath. There is a sign. Oops. Can't imagine that wouldn't irritate the farmer. We only want to go there.
Just see our house from here.
I think the mission has been accomplished.